Hi, everyone. I'm Julia from Krannich Solar. Thanks for joining our webinar today with Solis. Before we get started, I'll just be giving a quick presentation about Krannich. Krannich Solar is headquartered in Germany and was founded by Kurt Krannich. Since being founded, Krannich has expanded into 23 different countries with the capability to ship to over 100 countries. Krannich Solar has been a strong partner to PV installers since 1995 and offers everything that is required to begin and finish your solar installation. Our international purchasing power helped us build strong relationships with your favorite manufacturers, such as Solis. To secure the best pricing and availability with a growing market share, Krannich Solar is a privately owned and self-financed company that ranks among the leading solar wholesalers worldwide. Our experience in delivering solar products worldwide for the last 26 years has made us experts in the field. In 2005, Krannich expanded into the US with our headquarters in New Jersey. We also have branches in California, Florida, and we are expanding into Texas with additional warehouses across the nation. We are growing every day, so keep an eye out for where we will be next. Our US team consists of over 80 employees that service the Americas and strive to offer the best services and options to our partners. Throughout the years, we have grown our product portfolio to provide over 5,000 products. We have partnered with leading manufacturers worldwide to offer the best material for a project of any size, whether it's an off-grid system, 4-panel shingled roof, or a megawatt flat roof. Working with Krannich Solar means you'll never work alone. With our streamlined ordering process, each customer at Krannich receives a dedicated sales rep to walk them through each step of the ordering process, from project design to on-site delivery. The solar industry is always innovating and changing. At Krannich, we do our best to make sure you know about the latest products and technologies available. We team up with industry leaders and seasoned professionals to train you firsthand on everything you need to know, and it'll always be for free. This concludes my portion of the webinar. Here's our contact information if you would like to reach out for a quote, or if you have any questions regarding the products or services we offer. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to ask them using the question box, and we'll be answering them at the end. Thank you again for joining us, and now I'm going to be passing it along to Terence from Solis.
Hey, thanks, Julia. Appreciate it. We have worked with Krannich around the world. Actually, we're a global company as well, and work with Krannich in Europe, and have started our work here in US with Krannich, and are really kind of looking forward to really accelerating that to really service the wide variety of customers we have here in the United States. We also work in Canada and in Mexico as well. So we've got North America covered, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit today. I'll share my camera here just briefly, just so you can see who I am. I'm Terence Parker. I work with Solis since 2016, and I've been in the solar business since 1988. I've seen the industry grow incredibly since then, and I'll be going over some of the new things that are happening in the industry today. I mean, it's really quite amazing what's going on, and I want to kind of go over a little bit about what's going on in our solar universe here, as well as some of the products that we're introducing. So let me get into it. Can you? You can see there that a big project we have in China, and we do some EPC work in China, but here in the United States, we go through our distributors, and we don't compete in any way with them. All the products are sold through distribution, and you should know right off the bat that that Solis Inverters is manufactured by Ginlong Technologies, which is listed on the Shenzhen Stock Exchange, open books, and all the numbers that you see today are vetted, and so you can trust the bankability of Solis, and it's the numbers that we show. So this will be our agenda for today. I'll just talk a little bit about why our company is differentiated from the other inverter companies you may have seen out there or experienced in the past. I hope some of you have actually had some Solis product installed at your home or business. We can talk about that at the end. And I thought, if you'll indulge me, I can go over something really important to us as manufacturers, and I hope something that's very important to you as customers. First, what is this certification or safety standard called UL 1741SB? What is that, and how does that affect what's going on with the products and your installations and that sort of thing? And then I'm going to talk a little bit about what the Inflation Reduction Act means for you as the customers. It has a big impact, actually, and I'll briefly cover that just to sort of ground us in what's going on in the industry. And then I'll follow that, of course, with the introduction of all the inverters that Solis offers here in the United States and all the accessories that go along with them, what we're doing as far as our services and what we offer to the public. And then I'll just close with how what you've seen here can accelerate your business with Solis. So let's get into it now. Solis is a large inverter manufacturer. We're the largest PV string manufacturer in the world today. Focuses exclusively on string. We don't do any module level power electronics or central inverters. We just do string inverters, and we've been doing that since 2005. And today we are ranked number 3 with inverter suppliers globally. So this is IHS market numbers, like I say, who got them from our corporate entity. And I might add here that this has been a strong company. Like I say, I've been employed with Solis since 2016, and I've seen great growth and very steady, nice growth in both our manufacturing and our sales over time. Even during the pandemic, we were able to make a profit because, like I say, we're globally positioned, and it just so happened that our Southeast Asia and our Northern European markets came out of COVID a little earlier than other countries around the world, and we were able to start getting inverters into those countries in 2020. But 2022 has also been a good year for us, and we've grown. You can see part of the new manufacturing floor that we have in our facility in Ningbo, China. Here, let me show you a picture of our factories. This is the original factory on the left. I started when it was only a 5 gigawatt factory, and we built it up to 20 gigawatts, but we maxed out that site. So across the road, we opened up a second facility, and now we're at 40 gigawatt annually to service over 100 countries around the world with our products. And kind of the exciting news is that we're opening up a new factory. We're targeting 20 right at the end of the year. We're building it now. We have the land. We own the land. We own the manufacturing facility, and we'll operate that facility in Vietnam starting just at the end of the year here and really ramping it up as we go into 2023. That's interesting for U.S. products because the product that's coming from China has a tariff on it today, whereas the Vietnam factory could escape a little bit of those tariffs. But if you really want to know something about the company, how we operate, an evaluation of the string inverters that we do, we can provide this DNVGL report. This would come under NDA through your distribution branches, probably, and you can really get a good inside information on both our factory operations and the projected lifetimes of our inverters and their architecture and how we build them and where we get the parts and that sort of thing. So it has a lot of detail on and we're kind of proud of the evaluation that DNVGL gave us as being near the very top of string inverter life projections. And so indeed, we've been supplying inverters into United States since 2009. We were the first Chinese inverter to get the UL certification here in the United States. And so we've had inverters installed since 2010. And of course, they've lived right through their warranty period and are still operational. So it's nice for someone like me, an application engineer and part of our tier 3 service group, that we have such a reliable product that we're not constantly putting out problems or having to deal with manufacturing escapes and that sort of thing. Now, as I note, we offer PV string inverters, and you can see our product line runs all the way from a little 3.6K product. We in our UK market, we actually have a 1,000-watt inverter. It's useful for those folks in UK who want to get the full benefit of their rebates, and they can install a 4-panel solar system on our little inverters. And so we got kind of a reputation around the world of being able to do very small inverters. And however, we're ramping it up here in the United States all the way to 350 kilowatt for our PV string inverters that would be applied to utility scale type systems. And so it's a broad portfolio, and we are introducing some new products into it, and I'll talk a little bit about that as we go through the webinar here. You can see me there. This is at RE Plus that was recently in Anaheim, and you see we got a big team. This is our management team. This doesn't even include our service engineers and that sort of thing. You can see Roberto on the far right there, who runs our service group. And well, we've committed to the United States, and we have a management team here. We have inside and outside sales. We product management, and I'm in the product management applications and compliance engineering group. And we have a quality team, and of course service level 1, where you can call our team up and you actually get a warm body on the phone, all the way up to escalated tier 3 type of services where we get a sticky problem on site and we need to really bring in the electrical engineers, and that's to really see if we can figure it out. We provide on-site services, that is commissioning services and diagnostic services, that sort of thing. Of course, through our website, we can do a lot of remote diagnostics now, and I'll talk a little bit about what's going on with that, with the new kinds of interoperability that's required of all of these new inverters, that they work with the grid very well. That's a big deal these days as we get more and more and more solar power onto the grid. But we're very proud of this slide here, where you can call us up and it takes about a minute to get through our menu, but within 6, 7 minutes, 5 minutes, 38 seconds here was the recent data that we have, because as you can see, we use a CRM system when we track every call, we time every call, how long it takes to resolution, that sort of thing. And we can get to resolution typically within 48 hours. And so if we can't solve it right there on the phone, we've only got 28 error codes, and so there's a few of them that we know immediately the customer can just start their RMA process on our website portal. So we have a multilingual staff, of course, Spanish and English speakers, as well as other languages. And so we encourage you to give our service line a call and see for yourself the kind of response time that we are proud of, and we hope is kind of industry leading. We know there's some issues maybe with some other service lines, and we aim to be the best. But when it comes to a true service group, we offer local technical services, as I say, at levels 1 through 3 to our entire portfolio, and remote commissioning support for our hybrid inverters with storage, as well as residential and our commercial and products and utility scale stuff. And we can even offer commissioning services for our commercial products, and training and certification for all of our products across the board. So we're very proud to offer these kinds of things to our customers, and we consider ourselves to be a tier 1 service group for the US. And so that's a little bit of what differentiates Solis from other companies that are providing inverters here to the United States, is our people and the reliability of our products. A tier 1 product where we are the manufacturer. We own the manufacturing, we don't work through contract manufacturers, and we can provide a reliable, consistent product into your systems. But we want you to get it in your systems and show you what we can do. And so let me talk a little bit about what this SB thing is. For me, as an inverter manufacturer, it's really important. And what it is it's a new certification by Underwriters Laboratory. That's your safety certificate that you get on all your inverters. And it has to do with new IEEE standards that are requiring new support for interconnection with the grid. They want surge to not kick off all the inverters right away. They want to in the old days, they would what they called anti-island, where the inverter, as soon as it felt any wobble in the grid, boom, it would click off. And the utility companies found that kind of performance really is not ideal then. And so what they want to do now is they want to they want to communicate with our inverters, and that this is called interoperability, where they can then schedule a certain amount of active power for a certain amount of time at some particular day. They want remote monitoring and control of these inverters, so they can maybe inject power into the grid, or reactive power, or maybe take up load or something like that. And how does that all happen? Well, there's a new communication protocol. It's called IEEE 2030.5, and this new functionality in the inverters where they can ride through some wobbles in the grid voltage or hertz rate or something and not all shut down. This has become very important to the utility companies as we see more and more PV getting onto the grid. And Hawaiian Electric Company did a study. They were the ones that, as they were on the island of Oahu, really the ones that had a kind of a saturated grid first. And they were getting 25% of their power from solar one day when a big cloud came by, and it kind of made a little wobble in the grid because all the inverters immediately shut down. And so they found, as they did this study, that having these uncontrollable distributed energy resources, that's sort of a term we use in the industry, DER, really doesn't help at all. As a matter of fact, it kind of hurts stability. This grid following type of inverter, that when it looks at the grid and it sees a wobble, boom, it shuts down. That kind of thing is not really contributing at all. It's actually just the opposite. And so what grid operators now want is they want grid forming devices, distributed energy resources, with batteries that can kind of form their own grid and make sure that they're not shutting down immediately with any wobble in the grid, but indeed able to actually support the grid by injecting power or setting a particular power or curtailing the power. This is what the grid utility operators want, and it all kind of started with HECO over there in Hawaii doing studies like this and showing that really the inverters that we've been installing to this date really are not helping so much. And if we're going to really be the big player in our grid of the future, we really need to kind of change how we install. And these new inverters that can interoperate with the grid are going to be required in most jurisdictions around the country. And I've got a list here, 2 pages of lists, and maybe you can find your state there, and you'll see that different states have different timing for the adoption of these new inverters. But it's critical for you installers out there and customers who are getting product installed that they make sure that their inverters are listed to this new SB certification. That's the latest, as opposed to the SA, which is just supplement A and supplement B to the new safety standard that includes these new capabilities. And you can see in California there, for example, and there's 17 other states that follow the California deadlines. They've moved it out to March 29th of 2023. That's what, you can see they originally were thinking August of this year, but they moved it out to March of 29th of 2023. And that's when inspectors are going to expect that their installers are installing these new interoperable type of communicative type of inverters. It's very interesting stuff. Hawaii there was one of the first. They actually had it set up for midsummer this year, moved it to October 1st, and now moved it to February 1st. But I might point out at the bottom of the page there, ISO New England, this is they follow Massachusetts Technical Standards Review Group, and they are saying January 1st. And so all of you guys on the East Coast, you're going to start installing these new SB inverters January 1st. And so ISO New England Group and the PJM down there, number 24, they're also going to be a big player. That's Pennsylvania and a bunch of other states in the East there. They're going to start requiring this in January 1st, and as well as New York and Michigan as well, where I'm from. They're all, although they think that Michigan might push it back a little bit, these are the sorts of dates that your installers are going to have to really pay attention to in their particular states to make sure that they're installing what all the inspectors are expecting to see. These new interoperable inverters, these new inverters that can communicate with the grid and with the utility operators to make sure that all those connected solar systems are able to participate in grid stability, because that's really the ultimate goal. Now, there's a byproduct of all of that, and that is that now you as a customer can now remotely communicate with your PV string inverters. This was a big deal with microinverters. I did some microinverter work from 2010 to 2015. I appreciate that technology. And one of the things it had with it was what they call the power manager, or with the Envoy, maybe some of you are familiar with. You could communicate with all your microinverters. Well, now with this new interoperability requirement, now you can remotely communicate with your central inverters and, of course, all your string inverters, the kind of inverters that Solis manufactures. But there's something else big happening in the industry, and that is the Inflation Reduction Act. And what the heck is that? It happened this past August, and it was a reaction to our increasing inflation here in the United States. And this was passed bipartisan by both the Senate and House of Representatives. And it did a bunch of things, including creating a 50% corporate minimum tax rate, prescription drug price reform, and IRS tax enforcement. These are big deals that happened. The Affordable Care Act subsidy was extended, and for us guys on this call, everybody, the energy security and climate change investments were absolutely huge. Take a look at this slide here. The revenue raised, in theory, is the 737 billions, with a total reduction in inflation for 300+ billion. But look in the middle there, that red number, $369 billion has been injected into the renewable energy industry and climate change actions. It's just huge. It's really, it extended our ITC. You can see it's the largest climate legislation that Congress has ever passed. And it's going to reduce greenhouse gases below levels that they were seen in 2005, 9 million new jobs. Look at that, 23 trillion global energy market. And so we're going to have a lot more jobs coming up in renewable energy. And tax incentives for electric vehicles. I think you're going to really see an uptick in the electric vehicle use because of what the new Inflation Reduction Act and the impact it's going to have on us. For us solar folks, the big deal here is that the 30% ITC, which you can see there was scheduled to go to zero in 2024, has now been extended out to 30% out to 2032 and won't sunset until 2035. This is just absolutely huge for our industry. And not only is it being applied to solar panels, but it's now being applied to energy storage. And that's really going to encourage the use of these grid forming inverters that have both solar panels and batteries attached to them. So also the ITC can be extended to third-party owned PV systems, like financiers and things like that. And so it's really a big deal for customers in keeping their costs down as they start to look at and purchase these new grid forming systems with these new really excellent batteries that have been developed. Let's thank the electric vehicle industry for really re-energizing the battery market with the new technologies. Another thing that's happening on the commercial side of PV is that now solar becomes eligible for PTC, that is production tax credit, or you can take the money up front with your investment tax credit. So now as a big project owner, you can kind of choose between what you feel will be the best internal rate of return for you. Would it be taking the money up front and getting the depreciation, or would it be to take up the PTC, production tax credit, over time? And so by having this choice, this has re-energized the commercial market. And truthfully, the commercial market was kind of stalled, especially the utility market was really stalled earlier this year. Remember, we had the pandemic, and we had the supply chain issues, and we had the sunsetting of the ITC, and we had the war in Ukraine, and so many things, right? And it was really stopping a lot of those utility projects because they have to kind of think, 1 year out, year and a half out, as they make their decisions on equipment and what kind of contracts they're going to sign for offtake and that sort of thing. Price of copper, these sorts of things are very important to these larger projects. And so by passing this, it really kind of made the whole industry sigh a little bit. Oh, okay, so it really jump-started a lot of the big projects, the big utility projects that going forward. So I put a couple of links down there, and you can copy those out and learn a little bit more about what's going on with the Inflation Reduction Act and how it's impacting our industry. Huge, really just huge. So, hey, well, you probably came to learn about the products more than what's going on the federal level. But for me, as an inverter manufacturer, the new passage of requirements for the new inverters to be communicative and to work with the grid are a really big deal for us as a manufacturer. And then the new extension of the credits and support for renewable energy by the federal government is big for you customers out there. So let's talk a little bit about our products. These are standard grid type products, nothing fancy here. We've got them recertified to SB, so now they can communicate with the grid, and you can upload firmware, and you can change, the profile of your inverter to operate the way you want it to, these sorts of things. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit about our very unique communication accessories that we produce. We are starting to take new purchase orders next month for these new inverters, and you can see physically they really haven't changed too much. You can see that the name is virtually the same, except we now kind of refer to these new ones as the plus versions. And the reason we do that is because, well, you can see under that third bullet there that the old product, the 4th generation product, could take 10 amps and use that, and could go up to 15.6. But I'll tell you, some of these new big modules, they put out even more than 10 amps. And so when you're creating these PV strings, you really want to have a new kind of input that can take higher power, a new kind of MPPT or PV string manager that can absorb these larger strings. And indeed, the Plus model indeed can take up bigger PV strings and more powerful PV modules. And so that's the big deal when it comes to these inverters. They haven't changed much. If it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. These have been so reliable for us. We really kept the same architecture and the same model line. We just increased the capability of the inputs coming into the wire box on the bottom. We also made new larger knockouts on the bottom for bigger wires and match the US trade sizes. And a really cool thing that's happening as well is that there's new module level power electronics that are out there that can support module level monitoring and optimization. So imagine now you've got a PV string inverter, but you want to see all the modules just like you can with a module level power electronics type of system. And you can do that now with string. So much new versatility has come with this new equipment. You can see here that we can install these transmitter boards for rapid shutdown, which is required after January 1st, 2019. You got to, if you're going to be putting systems up on the roof, you want to make sure that the firemen can come and shut these darn things down quickly and fight the fire the way they would normally fight it. So I know a lot of installers have worried a little bit about installing this extra equipment up on the roof to shut these systems down quickly, but really it's about the firemen. It's about the firemen coming up to take care of any issues on your roof. You want them to use their standard firefighting methods, and so they can get the job done. You don't want them to have to fool around with trying to figure out how to work around a high voltage PV system up on the roof that under sunlight is still operational, right? And so that's the reason why we're doing this. And I wanted to introduce to you this company here, Intelligent. Intelligent is a new company that we're working with. You can see I got the piece of equipment here. You can see their product is a bit thicker than some of the standard product. It's got a heat sink on the bottom of it, and it's being installed today by our installers who want to use it as a rapid shutdown device. But it has the capability of doing both optimization of the modules and monitoring of the modules. And it's much less expensive than other optimization options that you have there. And so it can really do the same job with no internal power supply to worry about. And you have the optionality of being able to do both just rapid shutdown or use it as a module level monitoring device. Really cool stuff. So this transmitter board will be installed in the factory and one less thing you got to do on site. Or if you want to use the traditional Tigo or AP Smart rapid shutdown devices, you can do that as well. We can install those at the factory, so there's no problem on site. Fast install. So let's take a look here. These are our communication tools. This is our Wi-Fi communication tools. They literally just plug in, 5-minute install. They self-power, touch safe. It's only 5 volts. They're self-configuring. You can literally save a truck roll. We've had folks who are switching from Wi-Fi over to cellular because they've had to swap out their router or they had to change their passwords all the time. Every time you change the password, you got to kind of give another handshake to my Wi-Fi stick there to make sure it connects to your local router. But, some folks get tired of that, and so they want to swap out to a Solis cellular communication stick, and they can just literally send it off to their savvy customers, and they can swap it out themselves. It's that safe. Now, today, we have the part numbers you see on the left there, but starting this month, you can start ordering our new communication sticks. And the cool things about the new ones is that they can handle multiple inverters. The old Wi-Fi stick can only do 1, but the new one, you can kind of daisy chain our inverters together and do up to 10 with just a single Wi-Fi stick. So imagine that. You've got communication with, let's say, 3 or 4 inverters on site. You've tied them together with a Solis cord, and you've got a $60 Wi-Fi stick, to communicate with your grid. Super cheap, super fast, super safe, and you can do multiple inverters with it. You might also notice that we have our standard 4-pin plug on the bottom of all of our inverters, and any one of them that have 4G or 5G or SSI, they'll be using our standard interconnect with that 4-pin plug. But with the new inverters labeled S6 or Generation 6, and that's what our new hybrid is, you can use our new USB interface, kind of more standard. It clicks in nicely, and so it's just another feature that just makes the product just a little bit more friendly. And this is the Solis communication, the cellular communication tools we have. You can see they've kind of changed their form a little bit. They've had an antenna on the old unit, and we've been able to incorporate the antenna right into the unit. It has better LEDs and a control button right on the front. And so we've transitioned over to these new cellular sticks. And I might have you notice there that the product name is S1W4G, which means that this is a Wi-Fi stick, and you can still use it as a Wi-Fi stick. But should it lose contact with your router, within 2 minutes, it will switch over to the closest GSM LTE cellular tower and resume broadcast to the cloud. The best, most convenient combo communication device that's out there today. There's other ones I've seen out there, boards and things like that you can have installed, but this guy is the easiest one of all. You just literally plug it in, self-configures, and it will do both Wi-Fi and cellular. Another product that we're very excited about is this new high voltage energy storage inverter, or hybrid inverter, the kind of inverter that can take both PV and battery. And we call this the S6 Series 6 energy storage hybrid single phase. And it can also be installed with or factory integrated with the Intelligent or the AP Smart or Tigo boards. And you can also see that it has IEEE CSIP, which is a standard inverter profile, which is part of this whole interoperability thing where you can communicate with kind of a standard profile and in multiple inverters on the grid to help them stabilize the grid. There's the old product on the left, and we're still selling that today, but it will be discontinued soon because it only has the SA certification. The new one has the new SB certification, so it's going to be installable going forward January 1st. And right off the top, you can kind of see some of the differences. One, well, it's 2 boxes on the left and only a single box on the right. The old product needed a auto transformer to provide a neutral to your backup panel, because this product puts out 240 AC. But the new product puts out 120, 240 split phase natively. So you'll be connecting to your main breaker box with 240 split phase, and then connecting to your backup panel also with 240, 120 split phase. And so you don't need the new, the old transformer. It now is natively 120, 240 split phase, one less box to install, right? And you've got your integrated rapid shutdown device installed. So literally you're just installing one box for the whole thing. And with this just one box like this, you can do much bigger backup panels, partial home solutions. And another cool thing about this product is that it puts out the same amount of power that it was that it's rated at. And our old products could max out maybe at 6,000 watts. But if you buy this new 11.4K hybrid, for example, it'll supply 11.4K to the grid, or at 11.4K to your backup panel. So you could actually stack these inverters as well. So if you've got a small home 100 amp panel, you could stack 2 of these. You get 96 amps at over 23 kilowatt continuous deliverable to a full 100 amp. So it's almost like whole home in a partial home type of solution where you've broken out maybe your biggest loads into the main service panel there, or installed a new smaller service panel and then just use your old load panel as your backup. And you might also notice there's switches on the side of this device, one of them for DC, the other one for the rapid shutdown device, but there's also a manual bypass switch on the side of the inverter there, so you can bypass the inverters completely and just make sure that your entire loads in the home are connected together. So it makes it real easy to no interruption when the service guy is out there making sure your hybrid inverter and battery are working as they're supposed to be. And just like all of our other inverters, you saw that we called them plus inverters before, we have also upped our game when it comes to the size of products that you can install. Look at that, 16 amps per MPPT, and there's 4 of them on these devices, and so you can really pump some big power into these products. Again, with intelligent LMLPE, we can support module level monitoring on this device, and so it's really, and of course you can also see that we're now going to be interfacing with this device via Bluetooth with this new LED kind of really cool display on the front, as opposed to using the buttons and the big screen that you saw on the previous version. So a new interface, kind of a new shape, new capabilities, and new capability to take up really big modules. Another really cool thing about this grid tie inverter is it can also operate off grid. It can literally operate without any grid at all. And so it's got, you know, when you buy the inverter and you set it up, originally it's set for self-consumption mode to reduce, you know, maximize your solar kilowatt hours, and as a responsible citizen, you know, to reduce your carbon footprint, and it's set up to when you all the solar kilowatt hours that you collect during the day first go to your loads, making sure your loads are going, and then they charge the battery and then goes to the grid. So you could see that when you buy it, your first self-consumption mode, your loads support priority first. Whereas if you're in a state where you have variable pricing, you can set it up for this time of use mode, this feed-in priority mode. And all of these hybrids, they operate with a backup mode where you can keep all your critical loads operational. But now, like I say, you really don't even need the grid at all, and you can set up these systems in a cabin off in the woods, or literally stay indefinitely off grid should the power ever go out. So new versatility. And speaking of versatility, we got a new product that Solis is offering called the Power Hub. This is a device, so you can think of it as similar to a microinverter interconnection device, an MID. You look up that, and you can see that this new product would go on the line side, and so it is designed for whole home solutions. So you can use our new hybrid in a partial home solution, but if you buy the Power Hub, now you can do the entire home. And you can stack three of these inverters up into the Power Hub, meaning that you can deliver as much as 36K continuous power at over 150 amps into your main breaker box. And they can stack up higher than that. And you get the capability to attach a generator to this. You have the ability on your app to shed loads should, you know, they have a cloudy day and you're off grid now. You can shed some of the bigger loads temporarily off the inverter and solar and battery to manage your system, to manage your loads, to manage your battery and your active energy sources, your generator and your solar, so much more so than you ever could before. This is what I think homeowners are going to want as we go forward. Good stuff in the residential area. But we're also making a lot of good progress in our commercial inverters as well. We have a line from 25 to 60, and we have another very popular line from 75 to 100. And you can see they kind of follow that same form factor. In the old days, this is what we have available today, that 25 to 66K product. And one of the cool things about it was the capability to kind of separate the wire box from the power head. And you could do swap outs quite easily that way. With the new inverter, you can see that all the solar strings go right into the bottom with MC4 connections right on the bottom. And the new AC connections are in that big wire box on the side, and you can remove that whole thing. And so you just unplug from the bottom, remove the AC wire box, and plug right in. So again, you get that real fast swappability to keep the uptime going on your commercial systems. Of course, it also has the new UL certification for grid interoperability. We eliminated the 66K, though, out of our product line of these smaller grid tie commercial inverters because we have the new 75 through 100K here, and I'll show you that in a minute. So so the separatable wire box design has gone away, and that for Krannich, it actually makes it a little easier now. For the Krannich folks on site, we used to supply these grid tie inverters in two boxes, essentially, one with the wire box and one with the inverter. Now it's a single box, so that makes it a little easier. And I might also note, and this is kind of exciting for some markets out there, is that this is a 480 volt connect 3-phase inverter, but we're getting a lot of call for, and we've now developed a new 208 version of this product in 30K and 47K versions. So we're very excited to put this out there because there's some limited capability for 208 connections today, but we think this one's really gonna really take off. So this is the product that's selling like hotcakes. We can't keep this one in stock. We've had to take, and we brought a whole new shipment over just recently to fill our safety stock here. And know that Solis has warehouses in the United States to keep products for RMAs and for quick solutions to projects you got going. And this size was a little bit neglected in the marketplace, so we've seen a lot of interest in just the size of it, but it also has some really interesting features for repowering sites. That is kind of re-upping those old 600 volt legacy sites with a new inverter that can do new things, new interoperability, has new safety features, that sort of thing, and some really cool features. For example, it's got intelligent arc fault, a circuit interrupt, which means that it doesn't shut down your inverter right away unless that arc fault is really persistent and is a true signal that we need to shut down. And once it detects that, boom, it shuts that inverter down. But now take a look at those segmented DC connectors there. You can see the big AC connection paste there, and you can see some of our communication ports and the inputs. Look at all the inputs, 20 inputs, but all of those inputs can handle the full load of the MPPT, which means that even though you got 20 inputs for 20 strings, you could Y connect in the field and only bring 10 strings back, really reducing your cost. And you can see that it's broken up into 5 essentially separate inverters, because you can go out there, and when that intelligent arc fault sends that alarm, it's going to tell you which MPPT it's on. So you can go out there and you can isolate, lock out, tag out that DC disconnect switch and turn everything else back on. And so while you're looking for that arc fault, you can have the rest, 80% of the inverter still operational. But for all you techie guys out here, this is what's really exciting for me, is that when you look at the full power MPPT range, you can see the inverter can optimize your PV strings from 180 all the way up to 1,000 volt there. But under full power, sometimes these inverters are very much more restrained, but look at how low that goes, 360 volts. So you can really connect these up to those old legacy systems that are operating at 350, 380, 400 volts, that sort of thing. You can take a look at those old arrays and put these new modern feature inverters in there with new functionality, increased communication capabilities. So this is really the kind of cool technical feature that's really attracting a lot of the repowering crowd, making it the #1 repowering inverter that we're seeing today. Because not only can this inverter be very flexible when it comes to DC input, it's also got flexibility on the AC side. You can actually adjust the AC connection from 304 volts up to the standard 480, where it will put out full power. Now, if you connect this up to a transformer that's operating at 320 volts, it's not going to put out the full power that it's rated for. But you do have an inverter now that's got all those capabilities, is optimizing the performance of those old PV modules and really squeezing out all the investment out of that old legacy site. So we're seeing a lot of action around this product, super reliable. And I should also note that it does have the standard old buttons and LCD screen on it this first half of the year, but we're going to be changing over to the LCD and from over to a Bluetooth interface as well. Really cool stuff, and we've been selling the heck out of that inverter. So we also have a full line of utility scale stuff at 1500 volts, 600 volt, and 800 volt output. This is you can see our 125 to 255 line is now being increased to 350 volts. And really, we now talk about solutions. We can now supply these inverters with a skid, switchgear, AC combiners, transformers, the whole thing, delivered in a container installed by crane, where you kind of are mimicking a central inverter kind of architecture layout, but you're using it with string inverters where, you know, if you get that extra modularity, where should you have any problems with part of the array, it's only a little bit of the array that's down associated with only one of the inverters, and maybe only a section of that inverter with that segmented DC. So you get that really good uptime, a really good payback, and you get if you want to set up your systems more centralized, if that's what your installers are used to, and they're just switching over to string inverters like that, we can accommodate that. Or you can install these inverters out in the field, because of course they include essentially the combiner box and the DC disconnect and the inverter all in one. And so now you can kind of spread them out through the field, and really you have some real optionality when it comes to installing bigger systems, utility-size systems. 4 sizes, segmented DC switching, and of course bigger inputs to handle those Y connections in the field. Full solutions with all the AC combiners and everything like that. And I might add that these new inverters will be coming with the new 200 kilowatt energy storage controllers. This is a new PCS with a DC distribution cabinet. So all you guys installing these with customers who want to take advantage of these new batteries can now connect these batteries, a DC to DC connection to these new inverters, kind of recognizing the fact that utilities want to see these grid forming inverters being attached to the grid, and we can accommodate that now. Exciting stuff on the utility side. So what that ends up being is you really start to closing the gap with the CapEx cost of string inverters with the new central inverters. You know, at this level, you're not really using MLPE. It's really a game between the centrals and the string inverters. And really, it's with these new string inverters and all their new capability and their capability to not have a damn fire drill every time the inverter goes down. It's only a segment of the system that's down, and you can do your monthly service calls on these big systems and keep your OpEx costs low. New IV curve scanning that you can do remotely. This is great for financiers that want to find what's going on with their investment. And of course, all the safety features that we have can be added to these new systems with these new SB inverters that the grid is encouraging us to install. So when you're looking at Solis to help accelerate what's going on in your business, to help your customers, you really want to take a look at, number one, we got a big team here that's going to be able to help. We've been here, and we're committed to the United States and to North America. We have offices, we have operations in Canada, we have offices in Mexico and throughout the United States. We're here to stay, and we own our own manufacturing. We're not, worried about some contract manufacturer prioritizing some other mobile phone or something like that. And so we have a very broad range of products and a professional service team that, with escalation up to our engineers, that can ensure that your projects are operational throughout their entire warranty period. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Thanks for indulging me a little bit in talking about some of the most exciting things, that's kind of regulatory changes that are happening in the industry, and some of the benefits that some of this federal legislation is providing to our customers. I hope you learned a little bit something there, and you can follow up with that stuff. I'd just like to open it up to the floor here. Julia, do we have any questions in the chat box or anything I can respond to, or Krannich can help with?
Yeah, so our first question here is, we were asked if this webinar can be used for CE credits.
Well, I do. I'm a NABCEP trainer, and I've done CE credits with. I haven't registered this particular webinar with NABCEP. If there's some interest in it, if you feel like you learned something just outside of the let's say the promotion of my own inverters here, which NABCEP kind of discourages. If you feel as though this is a CE point worthy type of webinar, I could register it, I suppose, and yeah, maybe we can do that. But today, or let's say right now, no, I haven't registered it yet.
Awesome. Thank you. So our next question that's coming in is, when ordering the Solis inverter, do we have to specify the type of rapid shutdown, or can it handle any type?
No, you have to specify the rapid shutdown. This is because our friends Tigo felt their IP was being stepped on, and they have made it clear in the industry that if you want to use this power line carrier signal to control your rapid shutdown devices, that you're going to want to use or acknowledge their IP. And so if you're using Tigo devices, I think you want to use a Tigo rapid shutdown device, and so you do -RSS at the end of the model name when you order. If you want to use AP Smart, which is a SunSpec certified product, and now they have to use their own AP Smart transmitter, and same with Intelligent. Intelligent's interesting to us because they have some unique IP that we think is a little different than the Tigo IP, but in any case, yeah, you have to specify the type. We are all very much hoping that everything would fall under the SunSpec umbrella and that we could use one transmitter with all of the receivers, but that is not the case today.
Great. Next we have, is the hybrid inverter compatible with LG batteries?
Yes, so that's our first 9540 battery. So we're compatible with the new LG. We're very excited about that. But we also are compatible with a number of other Soluna and other battery manufacturers that we really like. We feel are reliable and have the manufacturing capability to keep up with our customers here in the United States.
Great. And I don't see any more questions coming in. I could give it another second if anybody has anything else to ask. But if not, thank you so much, Terence.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks everybody for joining me, and really appreciate Julia setting this up for Solis, and we really look forward to working with Krannich to ensure we get all of our customers' questions answered, and to make sure that you get what you need and take advantage of these new safety features and communication features on inverters these days, and the new incentives that you have for purchasing products. So thanks everybody. I want to just say goodbye and appreciate your attendance today and your time.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Bye.